So we're doing perms and comps probability, which, to be honest, shouldn't be a hard lesson if you can do perms and comps. Because what you do is, you will always do on the top whatever comes in the question, and on the bottom, you'll put total no restriction. So say I give you, given the word baboon. Is it two B's? Yes, right?
No, one, two O's.
Baboon? Technically, I can make it whatever I want it to be, but I'll spell it right. It looked weird with two B's. Okay, given the word baboon, period. So that word, the word baboon, is what I'm going to use for the top and the bottom, right? So I'm going to ask about a probability here. I'm going to say determine the probability. So anything in the question affects the top of your fraction, the probability fraction. So determine the probability the B's are together. Now, without the word probability, we just would figure out the permutation of baboon with the B's together, correct? With the word probability, I still figure out the permutation of the word with the B's together for baboon. That just goes in the top. And then the bottom is, hey, I have the word baboon. No restrictions. Total. That's what the bottom is. Okay? So anything after the word determine affects only the top of your probability statement. That's it. So let's do that first. So we want the probability that the B's are together. So that means that we have to do the number of ways the B's can be together on the top, and then total on the bottom. That's how probability works. It hasn't changed in not one lesson that we've done. So what's the first thing I do when I get a word? Rewrite it. So B, A, B, O, O, N. How many letters are in baboon? 6. So in the top, I'm going to end up with a fraction. Why am I ending up with a fraction in your numerator? What do I need in the denominator of this? Well, that'll be down here. What do I need in the denominator of my numerator? How do I figure this out? I want the B's together, right? And then I'll place it in the numerator. So it's like this. What goes in the bottom? 2 factorial, 2 factorial, right? 2 for the B's, 2 for the O's. Then, my 6 letters. But I want to have the B's together. So I do 2, then 1, then 4, 3, 2, 1. Am I done? Times by 5. If it said B's together at the front, done. B's together, I self-multiply by 5. So in my numerator, I have 2 times 1 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1 times 5 over 2 factorial, 2 factorial. Right? My denominator is baboon, no restrictions. So that would still have 2 factorial, 2 factorial. But what do I have in the top? What goes in my numerator? 6 factorial, because it would be 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Right? No restrictions. So type the top in, type the bottom. Should get 60 on the top. And 180 in the bottom, I believe. So nothing crazy, right? you just have a total no restrictions on the bottom, which is the easiest part. Actually, finding the total no restrictions of anything is the easiest part. So that's if you're given a word. What if we are given, like, that we need a, oh gosh, okay, a subcommittee. So number 2, there are 40 students. Okay, 40 students and 5 teachers. Form a 5-person subcommittee. Now I'm going to use the word determine. After the word determine, it only affects the numerator, the top, after the word determine. Anything before the word determine affects the top and the bottom. So now I want determine the number of subcommittees with 4 students and 1 teacher. I didn't say the word probability, I'd have no denominator, right? I just have an answer like we did before. So, in this one, I'm going to figure out getting 4 students and 1 teacher off to the side first to help myself out, because that's my numerator. Perm or a com? Com, why? Picking students from students, teachers from teachers, and not giving them jobs, right? If I did that and I gave them jobs, it would be a P. So, how many students are there? 40. C, 4, and means I do what? And then 5, C, 1. And that goes in my numerator. Now my denominator is no restrictions. If there are no restrictions, how many teachers and students am I picking? 5. I'm picking 5. 5 of what? It doesn't matter. There's no restrictions. So how do I just choose 5? How many am I choosing them from? 45. Yeah. Because it doesn't matter if they're a teacher or a student, right? Exactly right. This might be giant. I don't know if I calculated it. Oh, yeah. So how do you know if you need to round? Well, if it says probability to the nearest hundredth, I would give 0.37, right? If it said to the nearest percent, I would times by 100 and say 0.37. I mean, times by 100 and say 37, right? So you have to read if it says percent or to the nearest hundredth or whatever it says. All right. What if I do this? Who wants to be in my example? Caleb raised his hand. So Caleb. Anyone making no faces at me? I'm picking you. Jonas. You didn't make a no face, but I thought, why not, you know? And Sop isn't even looking at me. So, and Sop. Okay. Totally, you were totally looking at the back wall. You were busy? Oh. Good. Okay. Nick, or that's who's on here. Caleb, Jonas, and Sop, with 7 other competing with 7 other peeps. Are on the school's cross-country team. Determine the probability that Caleb, Jonas, and Sop place first, second, and third. Or B, Caleb, Jonas, and Sop place first, second, and third in that order. So if I just asked you for 3 people to place first, second, or third, how would I do that without probability? What would you do on your paper? Yeah, I would make 3 lines. First, a second, and third line. You're exactly right. So I would go like this. Okay, how many options do I have for the first one in this Caleb, Jonas, and Sop place first, second, and third? 3, because it doesn't say what order, right? Then 2, then 1, and your answer would be 6. This says probability. So now, the cool thing with probability is you have 3 blanks on the top, you also have 3 blanks in the bottom. The bottom just happens to be total no restrictions. How many people do I have to choose from? 7 plus 3, so I have 10. 7 plus 10. Yeah, 7 plus 3 is 10. So I have 10, then 9, then 8, and I'm going down by 1 number each time because, don't answer all at once, the same person can't win first, second, and third. So I should get 1 over 120, I believe. What's the difference in the second one? What's the difference in the second one? Caleb, Jonas, and Sop placed first, second, and third in that order. What's the difference? Bottom still 10, 9, 8. Total no restriction. What's the top? Do I know what's cool? You have 1 lesson left in 30-2. Independent and dependent.